People always have a way to improve, or a reason to improve, whether it be for recognition or just frankly they want to take care of themselves. I've improved since I started this channel, but let's be frank, you didn't meet me through my first video. You most likely didn't meet me through my earlier chapter reviews. You most likely met me through Madara vs. Marineford. I love that video, not just for putting me out there, but also for how I put my heart and soul into a video, and I made it truly the best video I had at the time. But even I have to admit, even with tinted glasses, it has some flaws. So today we will be reanalyzing the combatants, seeing what I got right, what I got wrong, and can Madara truly save Ace again? So without further ado, let's start Madara vs. Marineford Part 2. This army was built to fight the strongest man in the world. It's important to note that they did gather every single marine they reasonably could, and even plucked out the 7 warlords. Now, I'm gonna say this right now, though. The average soldier does not matter at all. Keep in mind, most marines think that bullets are dangerous. So, like, any standard AoE attack from Madara is going to kill them. Like, that's just a fact. They are only a factor in one instance, and that is they might be able to catch Madara off guard if he's substantially weakened and tired from fighting more notable opponents. But apart from that, they are not relevant to this conversation. Next, moving on to the warlords. All of them, with the exception of Mihawk, are just, they get one shot and they're way too slow to keep up. Speaking of Mihawk, though, he scales to the higher ups of the Marines, like the admirals and even the fleet admiral, along with Garp, right? So let's see where they all scale. They should scale relative to Whitebeard. Now, you may think, great, that narrows it down. No. It does technically just a little bit, but there's still a couple different ways of scaling them. So starting off at the lowest end you can get them, and that is country to multi-continental, and that is just through Whitebeard's just raw feats and calculations. And then finally, what I believe is a more realistic estimate of their power, moon level, possibly even small planetary. Why is that? Well, it's because they should scale to the Emperor's. Whitebeard has a statement that he can, well, destroy the world, but the most common assumption made by everyone in the fandom is that Whitebeard is going to simultaneously cause earthquakes around the entire planet, as the One Piece world is larger than the average planet. We considered that, and then we proceeded to calc it, and that brings Whitebeard's total worldwide earthquake to around 33.6 exatons of TNT. And to put that into perspective of how nuts that energy is, it's enough to destroy the moon. But just as Whitebeard showed that he was the pinnacle of power in his day, others most likely have surpassed him. Well, okay, at least feat-wise they surpassed him, right? So let's talk about the strongest attack we've seen in verse feat-wise, and that is the Bajrang Gun. Bajrang Gun is quite impressive. It's even greater than our previous calculations by Whitebeard, and comes in at a solid 1.38 zetatons of TNT, or small planet level. Now, I know everything I just said was a little bit complicated, and hopefully speed is a bit less confusing. So basically, Luffy should scale to Kaido. Kaido was able to Blitz Law. This was calculated at 17 times the speed of light. Now, adding on the fact that Luffy's Gear 2 multiplier is a 10 times increase in speed, and since we don't have an actual statement for Luffy's other gears, however, Gear 4 Snake Man is considered to be much faster, which could imply 3 to 4 times faster. And Gear 5, we simply put, have no idea. So the typical assumption is to just give him a flat 2 times multiplier. This combined gives all the admirals who scale to Luffy around 1,360 times the speed of light, or MFTL. Now, moving on to hacks, every single character at the Vice Admiral level or above has access to Haki. As I stated prior, the Vice Admirals, with the exception of Garp, will pretty much be fodder, but that just means we have to keep into account the Haki of the high tiers. And the high tiers have advanced armament, which can allow you to bypass conventional durability, and Conqueror's Haki, which it is advanced armament, just more potent. And then, adding on top of that, you have advanced observation, which allows you to see into the future for 5 seconds. And then on top of that, you add on the offensive powers of the Devil Fruit users, such as Kizaru being able to control light, Aokiji being able to control ice, or just cold temperatures in general, and Akainu being able to control magma. Hell, even Sengoku gets in on the action with his mystical Buddha statue being able to send out shockwaves similar to Whitebeard. Also, keep in mind that Mihawk should scale to all of them, and he should have all the similar abilities, with most likely the exception being he has the breath of all things, which should allow him to cut pretty much anything in this world, and should function relatively similar to Ryo or advanced armament, just likely it is stronger than at least Ryo. And getting into hacks of the general weaker characters, just so we cover all the bases, you have Boa being able to turn anything she touches into stone, and you also have Kuma being able to repel things with the Pawpaw Fruit, like pain, and from what I gather, almost any attack. You also have Moria, who can steal your shadow, and then there's Don Flamingo, who has the String Fruit, and for some reason that means he can do pretty much anything with it, but it's not as notable as you think. Alright, now that I've successfully pinned down the abilities of like everyone notable in the army, let's just reintroduce the shinobi who was like so powerful, they thought of him as a god.
Do not misunderstand it. This is not power of your creation!
Alright, so since we're talking about Madara, and if you've read the story, you will know that he has a lot of forms, we're gonna have to narrow it down. So, which form will I be using in this scenario? I decided on the Madara who is just recently revived, and I mean fully revived. He has at least 1 Renegon, and he should also have Hashirama cells. I chose this version of Madara because he is the lowest form that we have seen Madara in, where he fights significant enough opponents without being in an Edo state. And I believe it's just unfair to use him in this Edo state, since the admirals have like no way to seal him, and the regeneration means he always comes back no matter what they do. But with all that set up out of the way, let's talk about what might be the most controversial part of the Naruto community, and that is attack potency. So, starting as a baseline, Madara just scales to all of the Biju, every single one of them, which the less notable ones can output anywhere from 64 gigatons of TNT or island level, but obviously Kurama being the strongest one, and he in particular actually has multiple multi-continental calculations, and the highest one would put him at around 4.87 exatons of TNT. You can also compare him to Six Paths Obito, who was able to cause the world tree to split in 2, and this was calculated at around moon level. However, now it's time to get into the more contentious topic of Naruto characters being planetary. And I'm just going to start this off right now. The Nine Tails, it has 3 different statements from 3 different data books, but if you don't want to use those statements, you can also upscale Madara, the dozens, possibly even hundreds, of shinobi that powered the chakra cannon in the Naruto the Last movie, which is canon. And Madara should scale to this. After all, he defeated an army which consists of thousands of shinobi and a character whom he is above, that being KCM2 Naruto, was able to power up the entire remaining shinobi alliance multiple times over, consisting of thousands of shinobi. But guess what? You can also go with the Ten Tails being compared to a small planet when it's in its weakest, keep in mind, weakest state. So I will say that it does make a good amount of sense to put Madara and characters like him at planetary, considering all of the statements we brought up. But you know what? Fine. We'll move from one controversial topic to another. Let's talk about speed. For speed, I have acquired this calculation of Killer Bee intercepting the 4th Raikage. That was calculated at 113 times the speed of light. Keep in mind though, Killer Bee should be on par with KCM Naruto. Then, onto the fact that when he goes into KCM2, he gets a substantial power upgrade, and it's stated he's multiplied his power, but it's unclear on that, so we'll just be putting it at a flat 2 times, right? So that already bumps KCM2 Naruto up to 227.34 times the speed of light. Then KCM2 Naruto goes into Sage Mode, which should be relative, if not superior, to the Curse Mark, considering Orochimaru, the mad scientist of the Naruto world, based the Curse Mark on absorbing natural energy and Senjutsu, Sage Mode. And the second stage of the Curse Mark is a 10 times multiplier, meaning that Madara should have at least a speed of 2,273.4 times the speed of light. But now that we've talked about the speed and strength, let's talk about, in my opinion, the most fun part about a character: their weird and wacky arsenal. So Madara has a very interesting arsenal, but let's get the more conventional things out of the way. He can manipulate fire, water, lightning, wind, earth, and speaking of earth, he can also, tiny little detail, he can drop giant meteors out of the stratosphere at you. However, that's something connected to the Sharingan, and now that we've brought up that can of worms, the Sharingan allows you to react to things far beyond your normal speed, including a blitz tier above. Oh, it also enhances your vision, allowing you to see further distances and seeing chakra. On top of that, there is Genjutsu. And wow, you don't need a Sharingan to use Genjutsu, and you don't even need your opponent to have chakra in order to use Genjutsu. And guess what? Another Sharingan ability that he can use to the max is the Susanoo, which he has perfected. However, that's just the stuff that Madara would have in any iteration of the character. Let's get into the things that are unique to this version. So thanks to him merging his chakra with Hashirama, he has gained access to 3 additional abilities. Regeneration, which allows him to heal entire limbs and internal organs without even weaving hand signs. There's Wood Style, which can be used offensively, defensively, and it can also be used to AoE map wipe an entire desert, filling it up with poisonous gas, or just creating an entire forest that will run you over. However, arguably, the most notable feature about, Wood Style is the fact that he can create 20 clones, so he can have 20 Madaras on the battlefield. But he also did obtain the Rinnegan, which is another broken aspect. He can remove the soul from the body, he can repair fatal wounds again, and another notable ability is him being able to use Limbo, which is him casting an invisible clone inside an alternate dimension that can attack you that you cannot detect at all. There is no way of detecting it unless you have 6 Paths Sage Mode or a Rinnegan with 6 Paths Chakra that was given to you by a magical deity that roams space and time. So yeah, um, suffice it to say, Madara does have a pretty big arsenal, huh? But, you know, trying not to glaze him too much. Will that be enough to beat just the sheer numbers of Marineford, or is the ghost of the Uchiha finally going to be put to rest? Hi everyone, I just want to say this video is a little difficult to make. My previous dabble into this topic is my most popular video, and I wanted to try my hardest to recreate that, but at the same time do something a little different. So I hope this video was worth the long Togashi-like wait. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe for more content going forward. Anyways, let's see if Madara will once again destroy the massive army, or if he will be left behind by the stronger new generation like Whitebeard. So, without further ado, let us finally talk about Madara vs. Marineford. Alright, now that we have successfully stacked our combatants, it's time to see how they would fare. But another little tangent I have to go on is going to require me to put on some glasses and turn into a giant radioactive lizard, because I'm about to talk about battle factors. So basically, this is what each party needs to do. If there are any limitations, I'm going to start with Madara. He needs the rescue ace, or if he fails, he needs to kill the Marines or make them surrender. Those are basically the win conditions. He has no additional help in this scenario, meaning that while the Whitebeard pirates are not present, he also cannot summon either the Ten Tails or Kurama because reasons. On the Marine side, they need to kill Ace to succeed in their first goal successfully, and second would also be to kill Madara and preferably not die. That is also a pretty big goal for most of the Marines. Now, after all of the research I have done, I once again find myself coming to a very similar conclusion. That, yes, Madara will be winning in these interactions, and most likely he will rescue Ace. Why do I think this? Well, it's because Madara is nearly twice as fast as the other combatants, adding on to the fact that he has such a wide arsenal, and most likely he will be able to overwhelm the opponents that try to oppose him. Combine that with the fact that he has countermeasures to every Logia-type Devil Fruit, and thanks to him having the ability to remove souls from the opponents, this means he can even kill the Admirals. Also, pull out the fact that the Admirals have never shown any ability to stand against soul manipulation. As well, we've already established, thanks to Big Mom, souls are very, very different from Haki. And while both are spiritual energy, they are not the same in the One Piece universe. On top of that, I feel like the larger factors, like, for example, the wood clones, he can, like, as I said prior, he can make at least 20 wood clones of himself. And while not sounding like a notable army, it is important to realize that Madara by himself is equivalent, if not superior, to Whitebeard. And this Whitebeard completely overwhelmed Akainu. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean by this is any sort of walk in the park. As I stated prior, the Admirals, Garp, Mihawk, and Sengoku should all hold their own, but especially thanks to things like Future Sight, Ryo Haki, and, you know, all the other notable features they have. But at the end of the day, it's only 6 notable combatants. Madara can make 20 wood clones. On top of that, he can cast an invisible clone into an alternate dimension that is just as strong as him, that no one can see. And I believe it's a stretch to say that the Admirals, using any sort of Future Sight or Observation Haki, would be able to observe a clone in, like, any sort of way. And while you can make the argument that Observation Haki can see through the, dimensions, like in the case of Film Red, it is important to remember that someone was already in that dimension, meaning it was acting more like a bridge between the combatants. and it wasn't purely someone seeing into another dimension. This leads me to the point that, as you have seen in this video, Madara being at all relative, if not superior, to the Admiral, Son Goku, and Garp spells doom for this battle just because his sheer arsenal is beyond what the One Piece verse is typically fighting. And while undoubtedly they would fight to the bitter end and make this battle truly fantastic, and they would prolong it as great as they could, Madara win in the end. However, I did not bring this up prior, but thanks to the superhuman endurance and endless amounts of willpower, I do think they would be able to stall Madara long enough to properly execute Ace successfully. Now, obviously, I believe that thanks to Madara overwhelming them, it would be closer to a 50-50 shot, but I did want to leave you with, yes, there is a good chance that Ace dies in every what if, so I guess we'll have to call him the Ghost of the Flames. But yeah, I think that Madara will eventually just overrun and overwhelm the Marines. After all, like, the ghosts of the past are exactly what end up taking down the world government. Hi everyone, I'm really glad you could tune into the full video. I got more right in this video than I did in my previous one, but I also still probably got some stuff wrong. If you guys feel like debunking me, go right ahead, I don't care. Spread this on, have a live, have someone react to it live, send this to, I don't know, Swag Kage, why not? Sure, see if he'll react to it. And I know this is something people get very heated about, but don't be toxic. Talk about why you think this is wrong or if this is right, and just don't be too mean about it, please. And I'm not even talking about being mean to me. I don't really care. I just don't want you to affect other people, right? Anyway, I do want to thank everyone for this great experience. It has been 3 years as of the release of this video, and it's been a wild ride. So yeah. Oh, and I'm starting this new thing. Type Limbo Clone in the comments below if you've stayed till the end of the video. And yeah, I genuinely hope that all of you had a wonderful day, because guess what? This is Rox signing out.